All right, let's talk about something so common, you probably have it on your kitchen table right this second. But don't let its familiarity fool you. Its story is packed with power, war, and honestly, the building blocks of civilization itself. I mean, what if the fate of entire empires was sitting right there in your salt shaker? What if I told you that this simple little thing you sprinkle on your fries was the key to building cities, bankrolling armies, and even sparking revolutions? Nope, we're not talking about gold. Forget the obvious treasures you always hear about.
And it's not oil either. The answer is way more basic, something that goes back way, way further.
It's salt. Yep, just salt. And believe me, this humble little white crystal has a secret history that is so much more wild and important than you can possibly imagine. So let's dive in. To really get how salt became like the world's first global currency, you have to picture a world without something we totally take for granted today.
Before refrigeration, how did you stop your food from going bad? The answer was salt. It was the only way to preserve meat and fish, to keep societies fed through harsh winters, and to allow armies to march and sailors to cross oceans. Without it, our world just wouldn't exist.
And this is what's so wild. Salt literally paved the way for the modern world. You had these massive trade networks, these salt roads crisscrossing entire continents just for salt. Whole economies popped up around mining and moving it. And some of the oldest roads in Europe, yeah, they were built just to haul this stuff around. And get this is the real kicker. You know the word salary, the money you get from your job? It comes from the Latin word salarium. And that was the specific allowance Roman soldiers got to buy salt. Just let that sink in. It was so important, it was literally part of their paycheck. And it wasn't just about paying soldiers. The Romans built massive infrastructure for it. The Via Salaria, that's the salt road, was a major highway built for one reason, to get salt into Rome. You know, when an empire builds an entire highway for something, it's a pretty big deal. But you know how it goes. Whenever something becomes that valuable, it doesn't just build things up, it also becomes something to fight over. And the rule became brutally simple. If you control the salt, you control the people. And this happened everywhere. In Venice, they built their entire maritime empire by dominating the salt trade. In parts of Africa, they were literally trading slabs of salt ounce for ounce with gold. And in China, the government created a state-run monopoly on salt and used the cash to fund entire dynasties. But maybe the most famous example of weaponizing salt comes from France. The monarchy there created this incredibly hated tax called the gabelle. And this is where it gets crazy. It wasn't just a tax. The government forced every single citizen to buy a certain amount of salt every year at a hugely marked up price. You had to buy it, even if you didn't need it. Can you imagine? The state was making a killing off of a basic survival tool, and that anger, well, it became a major spark for the French Revolution. Okay, so fast forward a bit, and guess what? The exact same playbook shows up again, this time in British-ruled India. The British Empire slaps on a salt tax and makes it illegal for Indians to produce their own salt. Even people living right on the coast. They had to buy it taxed from the colonizers. So what happens? Well, in response, Mahatma Gandhi pulls off one of the most incredible acts of nonviolent protest in history. He decides he's just going to walk 390 kilometers, all the way to the sea, just to break that unjust law. And when he finally got there and picked up a little piece of natural salt from the ground, it was this massively powerful moment. The Salt March, as it became known, was never just about a tax. It was about freedom. It was about self-reliance. It was a direct challenge to the entire British Empire, and it all revolved around this one simple mineral. Okay, so this raises a huge question, right? Why? Why did humans care so much about salt? Enough to build empires and start revolutions over it? Well, the answer isn't just historical. It's biological. It's literally wired into our DNA. It's pretty simple, actually. Your body needs sodium to work. We get that from salt. Without it, your nerves can't fire signals, your muscles can't move, your whole system just breaks down. So we have this deep, primal craving for it. We're hardwired to seek it out. Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. If salt was once as valuable as gold, if empires fought wars over it, what happened? How did this priceless resource lose its throne? I mean, really, how did we go from salt being this world-changing resource to something we just casually shake onto our food without a second thought? The shift was actually pretty fast and super interesting. It all comes down to technology. First, modern mining made it way, way easier to get huge amounts of salt out of the ground. Second, we figured out how to get it from the ocean on an industrial scale. But the real game changer, the invention that really knocks salt off its throne, the refrigerator. Once we had that, salt lost its number one job, preserving food. And just like that, it became cheap and common. So the next time you pick up a salt shaker, just think about all that history packed inside. This stuff, it paid armies.
It built entire cities, creating fortunes from the ground up.
And yeah, it even sparked revolutions, pushing people to fight for their freedom. It just goes to show you, sometimes the biggest forces in history are the ones hiding in plain sight. It turns out, history isn't always written in gold. Sometimes it's written in salt.